In today's video, I'll be talking about the backstory of Ironheart. Let me say a few things before I begin. I would like to say that I apologize for my last video for not being up to the quality that it should have been. This time for Ironheart, I'll be mentioning everything that has happened in her life before and leading up to where she becomes Ironheart. I hope you all will enjoy. Ironheart was created in 2016 by Mike Deodato and Brian Michael Bendis. He was responsible for creating Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ultimate Spider-Man. She first appeared in Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, issue number 7. Riri Williams is a 15-year-old girl from Chicago, Illinois. She has a very high IQ and is one of the smartest people in the mainline Marvel universe. Her parents are Demetrius Williams and Ronnie Williams. Demetrius unfortunately died right before Riri was born. This led to her mother marrying Riri's stepfather Gary. Gary treated Riri as one of his own children. When Riri was about 5 years old, her parents discovered that she has advanced intelligence for her age. This was brought to their attention from Riri's psychology counselor. The counselor said that they would provide her with the education that she needs, and what they as parents should do is to show her the beauty of the world so she won't eventually get bored of everything because of her high intelligence. When Riri was maybe about 8 years old, her stepfather took her to the shopping mall to have fun. Little did they know that they would encounter Skrulls. This was around the time Secret Invasion was taking place. They came face to face with a Skrull version of Thor, but fortunately Iron Man came to the rescue, and that was the first time she met Iron Man. A few years later, Riri encounters probably her first ever friend. Her name is Natalie. Natalie asks what Riri was working on. At the time, she was working on one of her inventions. This invention is meant to help heroes who are captured or busy with their hero work to be able to cover all their outside hero work duties with a pre-programmed bot. For example, sending an email to tell their boss that they are unavailable to work that day. Natalie thought the idea sounded very cool, and that's pretty much how their friendship started. A few months later, Riri enrolls into high school at the age of 10. However, people would tease her a lot because of her age, saying things like, "You're meant to be here, shorty," and so on. One day, Riri couldn't unlock her locker. She received no help until a gal by the name of Deja Johnson offered to help her. It turns out someone shoved gum into it. Deja was nice enough to be late for her lesson just to help Riri go to the security desk. 3 years later, Riri Williams, her family, and Natalie go to a neighborhood barbecue. Riri and Natalie are just enjoying themselves before Riri's stepfather tells her it's a nice day. You see, this was an exercise recommended by the psychologist Riri's parents spoke to about her advanced intelligence. And now almost every day, Riri's stepfather uses that phrase, and Riri would usually respond with, "Yes, it is," but that wasn't the case this time. Riri was starting to get annoyed at her dad always using that phrase. She started to see it as annoying. Natalie didn't see what the big deal was. She thought it was sweet. They started arguing about Riri's stepfather. Riri stated that he's not even really her father, he's just her stepdad, and Natalie told Riri that if she would like to trade her caring stepfather for her no father. Riri just believes her stepfather fears her, that if nothing positive is said towards her, that he believes she would become Dr. Doom. A few moments later, a drive-by shooting happens in the park where the barbecue is being held. Gary gets the girls and tries to cover them, but unfortunately, he and Natalie were shot. Later that day, Gary was confirmed to have passed on, and Ronnie obviously broke down into tears. Riri went on to sneak into the ward that Natalie was in, and she found a body covered by a sheet. Riri pulls down the sheet and discovers Natalie's body. Some medical staff notices her and drag her away. Soon after, a detective starts interviewing them and asking them questions about what occurred at the scene. He asks them, what did the corporates look like, etc. However, Riri just had a question for him, and it was, why did she live instead of Natalie? Why did her mum live instead of her stepfather? At this point, she is clearly experiencing survivor's guilt after that traumatic experience. Months later, Riri graduates from high school at the age of 13. Her mum celebrates with her. Deja was present during the graduation, and she introduces herself to Riri's mother. Riri's mother asked Deja when she graduated, and Deja said that she never got the chance to graduate since she was helping her family at the time. Riri's mother asked Deja to come visit sometime. A few years go by, and now Riri Williams is studying at MIT. Around this time, Stark has gone missing and people have presumed him dead. While all of this was happening, Riri developed a suit similar to Stark's Mark 41 armor, which she reverse engineered the design of. People would always complain and knock on her dorm door about all the noise she was making while developing the suit. The complaints grew more and more until the head of security of the campus got involved and broke into her room. And at that point, she got into her suit and said, "Yeah, I'm leaving." Obviously, the suit wasn't perfect. It still had problems like trying to keep steady on air, but it wasn't bad for a 15-year-old tech genius. She flew all the way to New Mexico and attempted to stop a crime. She was able to stop the crime, however, in the process all the parts of her suit fell apart and the police wanted to know what she was doing and she just said she'll do better next time. A few days later, Tony Stark has been found and Friday notifies him that a teenager has been flying around the country with advanced armor. Time passes and now Riri might be kicked from MIT because she stole parts from them to make her suit. Riri and her mother have an argument about this. It's really a back and forth argument until Tony Stark comes by and he wants to see the suit that Riri made. Tony Stark has a look at the suit of armor Riri Williams developed and is really impressed. She did all of that at her age. However, Tony Stark recommends Riri to stay in school. Riri says that she needs an AI to help her control the suit and more. She asks Tony Stark if she can have an AI. Tony Stark says they cost about $44 million, which at this time is a lot for Tony Stark since his company is going bankrupt. Tony Stark won't be able to pay for it, so Riri decides to do it herself. Tony invites them for dinner at a restaurant so they can talk more about Riri. At this point, Civil War II has started and Riri Williams has been involved with the war. She is part of Tony Stark's side in the conflict. She's not involved heavily, she's just maybe a part of one big fight and introducing herself to the rest of the Avengers, and that's really it. When Civil War II ended, Tony Stark died, so Riri Williams wanted to take up the mantle of Iron Man. Her first job as a hero is to stop a weird monster invasion in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The person who is causing all this trouble in Wyoming is Animax, and it is happening because they wanted to keep her in a mental detention center, and she didn't want any of that, so she wants to tear the place down to the ground. Riri did manage to make her own AI, who was giving her information on Animax, such as police recordings, what types of powers she has, and old footage of Animax fighting other heroes. The AI is pretty good for a starter AI. Maybe there are a few issues such as it being a slow talking robotic voice, but it gets the job done. Riri uses the fist of the suit to blast off from her wrist and knock out Animax. It took a while for her to finish the battle, but that did the job. The police on the scene attempted to arrest her for an unspecified reason. Riri tries to explain she can't stay and then she gets shot on her helmet, which takes her off. So she uses some type of feature on her suit that makes her pull the officer's gun away from him and then she crushes it and she blasts off. She gets home and her mum asks her how her day of being a superhero was. She simply said that it wasn't great. She starts complaining that she has no AI and the suit of this power needs a good AI. And how can she even be a good hero if she can't even afford to get an AI to help her? Then, a Secret Service looking person says that they are looking for Riri Williams and hands over a box that has a push button inside. They have suspicions on the whole thing, but Riri pushes the button anyway and Tony Stark appears. However, this is not Tony Stark, but an AI version of him. The next day, AI Tony wants to train Riri Williams with old Stark armor that is self-controlled. They begin training and all of them give her a good beating. The Hulkbuster armor even slams her towards the sea, but luckily she saves herself. But the fight wasn't over and one of the Stark suits finally does the job and gets her in the sea. She gets out of the situation by blasting off from the sea and tries to run away. AI Tony says to Riri the more she runs away from it, the more difficult the training becomes, and it is not right for her to be running away from this training if she wants to become a hero. But Riri had a trick up her sleeve. When AI Tony was thinking she was running away, she was using a virus that would be launched into the AI neural network and it would shut down all the bots and all of them would splash into the water. Her whole fight was all over the internet for everyone to see, even Stark despisers. So now all of Tony Stark's villains will be spread over to Riri and it will now be her problem to deal with them, because if she wears an armor like Stark's, she has to bear the responsibilities. And that is pretty much Riri Williams' story before she became Ironheart. After she developed a new suit that looked very similar to Tony's classic red and gold suit, she eventually made an even newer suit that doesn't have the same color scheme as him. She fought a whole lot of villains such as Doctor Doom, Lady Octopus and even Thanos. She has teamed up with many heroes such as Spider-Man, Miles Morales and the Wasp. She's even joined the Champions team. She also revealed Miss Marvel's identity to the entire team and has been to Wakanda, and that's pretty much her story as of now. I get this video won't be highly popular because of the hate surrounding Riri Williams, but honestly I thought I should do this video anyway for people who are interested on what she did before becoming Ironheart, and mainly for the Ironheart show that comes out next year. Overall, I know her character hasn't been the best legacy character, especially having pages like this and people in my community post saying that she's okay at best, but most legacy characters never get the love at first, such as Miles Morales, and now he's a beloved legacy character. I just believe with the right writer who really cares, Riri can shine, and I think she'll get that chance with Black Panther Wakanda Forever and her own Disney Plus series, and maybe she'll get the real storytelling she deserves. If you made it over to this bit of the video, this just shows that you enjoyed it, and I am now encouraging you to like this video so more people like you will be able to see this video, and please subscribe because that really helps out the channel, and expect to see more videos like this in the future. But that's all from me for now. Goodbye.